So if you're on BookTube, you might know that there is an event that we look forward to every year, and that is called the BookTubeAthon. There are video challenges and reading challenges, and I decided I'm going to show you the books I'm going to be reading in this TBR video right here. I mean, it completes the challenges almost, and I'm realistically going to make my way through about 2 of these, but one of the challenges is read 7 books, so heck, I chose a book for every challenge anyway. Now, I know what you're thinking, Emma, we just saw your biannual BookTubeAthon wrap up and you didn't read that much. And you'd be right, that's true, I did not. But now that your expectations have been lowered, anything I achieve in the BookTubeAthon will be high by comparison. So, I mean, it's a win-win, really. So, without any more waffling on by me, I'm going to tell you the books I'm going to be reading for the BookTubeAthon next week. So excited. The very first challenge is one that I don't know how to not spoil you on some of my other choices, and that is let a coin toss decide your first book. So the books that I kind of chose to flip a coin between to start off with are these 2. Warcross by Marie Lu, which is like a science fiction, futuristic video game type thing with hackers, and it's supposed to be amazing and everyone loves it and I can't wait to read it. So this is option number 1. Option number 2 you may also be familiar with, and that is Zenith by Sasha Ellsberg and Lindsay Cummings. This book I chose purely because next week I'm going to Comic-Con and Sasha will be at an event that is near or close by and I'm going to as well, which is Yalk, and I was like, hey, better read your girl's book before I get there. So time to flip a coin. Heads, Zenith, tails, Warcross. Will I remember that? Hopefully in the next few seconds. Heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, tails. Alright, heads, tails. Okay. Can you see what it is? Nope. Oh. Well done. I mean, okay. I guess we're flipping it again. Let's try that again. We'll just calm down. It'll be fine. This time, you're just gonna have to trust me. Tails. Tails! Okay. That's really interesting. I'm starting with Warcross by Marie Lu. Alright, so the second challenge is to read a book about something that you really want to do. And looking at my TBR shelf, I mean, there wasn't a huge amount. I have no desire to become an assassin or, you know, a forensic scientist or a demigod, so it was hard to choose. But I did manage to find Little Black Dresses, Little White Lies, which is about a girl who does an internship. Oh my gosh, realistic goals. And I would like to do an internship, specifically in publishing. This girl does one at a newspaper, but I was like, hey, similar vein, close enough, closer than a lot of the other books on my shelf. This book is about a girl who gets an internship in New York, and she, I don't know, moves to New York for a little while and interns at a newspaper and meets some people and does some things, and it sounds very interesting and very like contemporary, very cliche, very light-hearted read, which might be nice to just throw in there amongst all the fantasy and whatnot. That's going to be coming later in this TBR video. The third challenge is actually the challenge I had the most difficulty with, purely because none of the books on my TBR shelf fit the criteria. So I'm going to cheat just a little bit, just a little cheat, just a little cheat. It's kind of a big cheat, whatever. This challenge is to read and watch a book-to-movie adaptation. None of the books on my TBR shelf have been made into movies. I've just realized that that is not true. I've got to change my TBR. Give me a sec. Literally, the second I said it, I realized that I was wrong. There was a book on my TBR shelf that had been made into a movie. And granted, the movie has been often described as the worst book-to-movie adaptation ever, even worse than Northern Lights, which was pretty bad. So that book is e.m.m.a.f.a.g.a.n by Christopher Pauline. Loads of praise I've heard about the book, but the movie, zero praise, no praise, no praise. And in fact, I think I watched part of it when I was much younger and did not enjoy it. But everyone tells me that this book is pretty great. It's about a boy who finds a dragon egg, and dragons are supposed to be extinct, and this obviously proves that they aren't or whatever, and I don't know what happens next because I haven't read a book. But hey, you know, I guess it's fitting in the TBR because it fits the criteria. Will I actually get to it next week? Chances are no. The next challenge is to read a book with green on the cover. Surprisingly difficult. I thought there would be loads of books on my shelf with green on the cover, but no, there was not. And so the only, I think, one of the only options, if I didn't want to skip to like the last book in a series, which no, the only book apart from that that fit the criteria was The Search for Wand Lab by Ditcher Lizzie. This book is a children's book about a girl who grows up on a planet, and she's reading about this planet that sounds like Earth, and you know, you kind of get the feeling that it might be Earth, and she wants to learn about it and go there. It's kind of like The Little Mermaid in reverse, but like, you know, with space and goblins and monsters. And that just sounds really interesting, toppled on the fact that there are illustrations, and Tony Ditcher Lizzie is one of my favorite illustrators. He just has this way of making characters come alive, and they're so beautiful and vivid, and that sounds great, but also easy to get through those kind of books on a readathon because the pictures take up space and pages, and also they tend to have larger print and stuff because they're children's books. So this fits nicely. I'm gonna put that over there. Next challenge basically fits any book ever, and that is read a book while wearing the same hat the whole time. So I've decided to go for this hat because I love this hat. I made it when I was like 16 and I wear it quite a lot considering it's old and gross. But the book I've chosen for this is, I mean, it's hard, okay? It's hard to choose a book because I wanted something short. My TBR shelf does not have any short books on it at the moment, except for this other book which fits into another challenge too, so I might as well tell you them both at the same time, and that is choose a book with a beautiful spine, which also, my TBR shelf wasn't helping me out this TBR video, let me tell you. It did not want to make things easy, but I've decided to go for The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. This book is about a girl whose grandmother passes away or goes missing, and she is left a warning not to go near the Hazelwood because there's like some kind of creature is magical, I don't know, got the fairy tale vibes from it in there. And of course, being a young adult heroine, this character decides to go directly to the forest, and I mean, yeah, that sounds like a book you want to read, right? And this spine is a beautiful shade of blue, which is a color I really enjoy. And it's got leaves, which, you know, foliage is pretty. So we're gonna count that as a beautiful spine because that's all that I could see. That was not just the title of the book. So yeah, and the final challenge is read 7 books. So if you've done your maths, you might have noticed that so far we've discussed 5 books. Quick recap, these are the books, which leaves me with 2 books that I have to choose to read next. Now, because I am going to Comic-Con and I want to have read something by the people I'm going to get their book signed, the next book I've chosen is Zenith, which talked about earlier. We discussed this already, so this is going on the TBR. The last book really was a bit of an impulse. This is a book that makes me think there is no way that this TBR is being read in a single week. No way, because this book by itself will take more than a week. Probably one of those books that takes a while because it is a monster, it is huge. It is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. That guy. This book is, I think, a horror book about a house that moves around. There's a monster inside. It's got a really unusual formatting. Some pages have like 2 words on them, which readathon, fab. But some pages have like a ton of words on them and are written really unusually, and I'm like, this is probably going to take me a while to figure out how to read this. So also, like, how many pages? 700 pages almost. Yeah, so monster of a book there. It'll be my final book because then there'll be no pressure to finish it. Just so long as I start it, that will be like my goal. Okay, cool. So these are the books. I'm gonna pick them all up because that's what booktubers do. They pick up all the books and then the books fall over and then we all laugh. Cause who expected it? Always do. Okay, these are the books that I'm going to potentially read or start, or maybe not get to next week. An interesting selection there, if I do say so myself. Very well chosen. I'm so excited for the BookTubeAthon next week. I can't promise that I'm going to do all of the video challenges because they're announced on the day and I'm working during the day. So I will do as many as I can, which may just be 1 or 2 because that's all the days I'm not working. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I will get more done because I'm just a BookTubeAthon genius. Maybe. So that is everything I have for this video today. Let me know in the comments if you are participating. Would love to see what you are reading. And that's all I have for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.